Recording in progress.
Namaste and welcome to this part of self-improvement. We spoke about many qualities of character in the last few episodes. I'm sure you realized that these are significant for self-improvement. Now, what are we going to get when we do these exercises? When we try to improve ourselves, what is going to happen? It is something like an internal change. When we embark on a self-improvement course, we see slowly that there is an improvement within. The person within, or our internal dimension, is changing. Today, let us talk about the topic self-worth. So, what do we get if we practice self-improvement? What we get is self-worth. We need to get some benefit out of whatever we do. That is how human life goes on. This is called transaction. So, when we are talking about transaction of self-improvement, then what is it? That we are giving our time, our energy, our effort, and what we get in return is self-worth. Self-worth is a very significant concept because we have many negatives which have to be avoided. There are many pitfalls in the way. These need to be avoided for us to get real self-worth. Let us talk about these negatives first, one by one. Ego is a very important aspect of self-worth. A person who has a huge ego, a person who thinks that he or she is the best, nothing can be better than me, that attitude completely brings self-worth to zero, because an egoistic person feels like this due to insecurity. It is not greatness to feel ego. An egoistic person is one who has problems of insecurity. That is why this person feels as though self-worth is showing off, being egoistic, saying, oh, I'm so intelligent, I'm so rich, I'm so capable, I'm the best person you can find, a best neighbor, a best family member, or a best employee, or a best student. Can you imagine? A person is constantly suffering from an illness. It is some kind of an internal illness, which we call ego. Similar words are pride and vanity. Pride, if it is a just pride, it's very good. You realize your capabilities and then you praise yourself. That is wonderful pride. You have done something good. You should take credit for that. That is good pride. But the moment this pride becomes an ego, it becomes unconquerable, and you do not consider anybody to be good enough except you. Then you have a negative pride. This negative pride is not good. Somebody says, oh, I'm the son or the daughter of a very rich person, a VIP, a very important person. That is false pride. It is negative pride. We have to get rid of this. In order to have self-worth, we must control the ego. We must control our negative pride, but we must not give up our legitimate pride. Because if we give it up, we don't get self-worth at all. Now, vanity. Vanity is when you have nothing to show off, but still you like to show off. I'll give you an example which happens very often in our country. We say that the fair skin is very beautiful, the dark skin is not nice at all. Go outside. As Indians, nobody can see whether you're fair or dark. You'll always be considered as the brown skin tone. Whether you're fair or dark, it doesn't matter. So what do you have? Vanity. That, I have so much of this. I have such great possessions. That is vanity. The opposite of this, which gives you great self-worth, is humility or modesty. Take credit where it is due, but don't take credit where it is only an imaginary concept. You fancy that you have it, but actually it is not worth having. Many people have great vanity by saying, I have strength, but are you using your strength for a positive purpose? You have muscles, and then you are using your muscles to terrorize everybody. Then that is a vanity which is terrible. These are all impediments. These are all negatives in the path of self-worth. So a person who wants to cultivate self-worth is a person who needs to see, how is my ego? Is it within my control or is it uncontrollable? We feel, very often we feel that, oh, I have no ego, I have no vanity, no pride at all. But that also is a terrible pitfall. You must know how much is your self-esteem. You must be able to measure. You must be able to gauge. You must be able to weigh how much capability or how much goodness you have. So in this balance of measurement, suppose you take your capabilities and you take your negatives, then you really know what is your self-worth. Very often, when we are trying to measure our self-worth, or when we are trying to nurture our self-worth, we are going to keep it healthy, the opinion of others also is important. What do you think about yourself? Question number 1, which I told you 3 points here. The negatives which you might think, which hurt or harm your self-worth. And then, of course, what others think. Very often we try to structure our character, our self, our capabilities, our progress based on the parameters given by others. Others are giving us the measurement. We are measuring ourselves on the scale which is given by others. Or we are competing with others. We are competing our capabilities with the capabilities of others. All these have a terrible effect on self-worth. And it is not only you and me. We have problems of self-worth. Others also have, great people like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He was very fond of these pure young boys who later became his disciples. Usually worldly people would come to him and they would talk about all silly things, things which do not have much importance. Now, Sri Ramakrishna used to feel that he would like to have a group of people who can talk about things which really matter in the life, things which really are important. Then Naren and all other boys came, Rakhal and all other boys came. He would love them a lot. One day, a companion, Hazra, said, "Why you love these boys so much? You have now given up all your austerities, all your holiness, and you only have time for these young boys." Thakur Sri Ramakrishna's self-worth suffered a big jolt. He said, "Oh, have I really become so terrible that for the love of these young boys, I have given up all my hard work. Of course, he had a wonderful method, and that is, he would always ask his divine mother everything, like a small child. So he went and told Mother Kali, Mother, Hazra says that I have lost all my holiness because I love these young boys. Then he got the answer. The mother said, no, you love them because of their purity. The day they become impure, you won't like them anymore. So it is not the person you like, it is the quality of purity you like. So nothing wrong with your holiness, nothing wrong with your spiritual achievements. So at one point, Sri Ramakrishna had doubts about his self-worth. Am I really useless or am I good? Then he got a renewed self-worth, a recharged self-worth, when he got assurance that, yes, nothing is wrong with my attachment to these youngsters. And remember, this was very important because if these youngsters had not been there, we would never have had the name of Sri Ramakrishna known worldwide. It is because Swami Vivekananda went to the West that people came to know about the greatness of India, the greatness of our ancient traditions, all collected in Sri Ramakrishna. Then, of course, the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission, the Vedanta centers all over the world. These are all the product of this moment of self-worth, Sri Ramakrishna's self-worth, which gave him the idea that if I love these boys, I can train them and they will become world leaders. So you can imagine how important self-worth is. Now, I can also give you the example of Sharada Devi. Mother Sharada was very quiet, very retiring, very self-effacing. She used to always stay hidden. But just before the passing away of the master, he said that I have done so much for the spiritual benefit of the people. Look at the people around, crawling like insects. Won't you help them? Won't you do something for the spiritual upliftment of the people? Mother had a crisis of self-worth. She said, what can I do? I'm a woman. I'm from a village. I'm uneducated. All these disadvantages took away her self-worth from herself. So what can I do? I can't do anything. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, no, you have great capabilities. You have excellence. You will be the spiritual leader. This young lady who had great spiritual powers, but in the material world, she was not worth much because she herself counted her 3 drawbacks. She became the mother of the entire order. She became the spiritual guide to thousands. And today, millions of people get benefited by her spiritual life and her spiritual instruction. So it is not only that the time when she lived and when she passed away, everything ended. It hasn't ended. 1920 was the last year of her life. And now we are 2021. So even 100 years later, there is so much to learn from her. So she got self-worth by listening to Sri Ramakrishna and following his advice. Similarly, there's the story of the crisis of self-worth in Swami Vivekananda's life quite often. He was a wandering monk. He went to the Himalayas. There he helped one holy person who was suffering a lot. But when that person recovered, he ill-treated this young monk. Swamiji felt very sad. He said, I want to share this with somebody. When I go to Kolkata, I will tell Holy Mother about it. So when he came to Kolkata, with tears in his eyes, he told Sharada Devi. He said, Mother, this is what happened to me. This is a terrible experience which took away my self-worth. I didn't feel as though I'm a good person. The mother said, no, that is not true. What you did was right. But remember that what others do or what you expect of your actions, that is not important. Swamiji had many crises of self-worth. In the West, many people abused him. They called him terrible names. They tried to blacken his character. But always he conquered these problems because he had an inner worth. He had a realization that he had great aim, great goal in life. So that is how we have to remember that crisis of self-worth comes to everybody. The pandemic has brought huge crisis of self-worth. Students are not able to concentrate on online classes. So more than a year away from the real classroom, students are forgetting whatever they knew. Their whole mind is now engaged in things which are not making them progress. They might be good for entertainment. They might be good for passing the time, but they are not teaching them anything which is worth learning. So there is a huge crisis of self-worth. Good students who know that they will stand first or they will get a best result are suffering due to the lack of exams. The average student is happy that, no exam to write. I'm getting, promoted without writing the 10th class, 12th class, and so on. But imagine a good student, a student who has self-worth in education says, oh, this is terrible. I'm losing my self-worth because the result I get because they are passing all of us is the same result somebody who has not put in an effort also gets. So there is a crisis of self-worth. Also, employees, many people are losing their job, not because they are not capable, but because there is a pandemic. They can't feed themselves. They feel that their families are suffering because of this. What is happening to them? They are losing their self-worth. Now, what happens? They have no way in which they can anchor to a nurturing self-worth. So all these things will require a lot of energizing, a lot of charging for our self-worth. Then, what is the method? Let us see what we should do. Whenever we are talking in terms of self-worth, let us remember that we have to first and foremost understand ourselves and our capabilities. If we do not know who we are or what we are capable of, how will we measure our self-worth? A student who has no capabilities in sciences is forced to get into the study of a science stream. The student fails again and again and again. It is not the fault of the system or the student. It is the fault of the capability of the student. The student might be very good in literature, might be very good in commerce, might not be good in physics or maths. So we have to understand our capabilities first. Unless we understand our capabilities, we must remember that no ability comes to us unless we have the ability to measure who we are and what we can do. Suppose we try to do something which we are not capable of doing, our self-worth becomes zero. We don't have any self-worth because we are doing something which nature has not made us capable of doing. Biologically, all of us have certain capabilities. Now, if you feel that you would like to swing on the branches like a monkey does, difficult. You have to be an acrobat, which needs training. So you say, oh, I cannot swing like a monkey. Then my self-worth is zero. You want to fly like a bird. Now you have to get into an aeroplane. Otherwise, you cannot fly. You don't have wings. Then you say, oh, my self-worth is not there because even a simple bird can fly, and human beings, the best creation of nature, can't fly. You want to swim or live in the water like a fish. Not possible at all, because we are not built that way. So I gave you these simple examples to make you realize that many of us are trying to do things which do not fall within our capabilities. So to gain self-worth, first strategy is to understand yourself and to judge your capabilities, to make a list of your capabilities. Once you have made a list of your capabilities, then you will find that you can choose a path which where your capabilities help you. A path which is suitable for the qualities which are inherent in you. All of us are born with some inherent talents. Suppose you plan that you want to become the best singer, then do you have the capability of a musical tone, a musical voice? Do you have the capability of, listening and understanding music, the notes of music? These capabilities are important. Some people are born with it. Some people can be trained about it. Some are tone deaf. We call it as tone deaf. That means they are not able to make out the notations of music. So they cannot become a musician, however much you might make it your goal. We have to understand this, and then only we have to progress. We have to go ahead. The second point which you require for making yourself, for making your self-worth better is that you are kind to yourself. You don't pamper yourself, but you are kind to yourself. Now look at the two words, very important words, that you don't pamper yourself, but you are kind to yourself. Now the two extremes are also there. Some people who go on pampering themselves, it spoils your self-worth. Now, in case you have to do something, in case you have to do self-improvement, then you say, oh, why now? Now I don't want to do self-improvement. The whole course is there on YouTube. I'll do it after some time. I'll do it, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. Or I'll listen to the lectures now, but I'll practice some other time. What you're doing is you are not utilizing your energy. You are just wasting your time. If you have time, you have to use it properly. So what we are doing is we are pampering ourselves by postponing, by not giving importance to time. Or we do it half-heartedly by saying, okay, fine, we can start it, but very slowly. I'll do a little by little. You are capable of much more. See, we don't have to do too much, but we can do according to our capabilities. So if our capability is much more, let us follow that much which we are capable of. We don't want to do it. After doing a little work, we say, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. This is where we are pampering ourselves, and the self-worth is getting destroyed. We should not do this. The second is being kind to yourself. You perform very well. Everybody says, oh, you've done wonderfully. He said, no, 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 I have not done very well. Really, I could have done better. That is not self-worth. It is lying to yourself. You're telling yourself an untruth. Feel happy when you have performed something, but don't feel pride or vanity. A little happiness, a little joy is very good. This morning, I got a message from one of my erstwhile colleagues, a young colleague who got a promotion yesterday. Says, ma'am, I got a promotion. I felt so happy. So I said, congratulations. That means that person is being kind to himself. That person is saying, okay, I have got a promotion. I have performed. I have done well. This is good. But the moment he starts feeling that, oh, I got a promotion, that means I must be the best. Others are useless. Many people do that. Then that is negative. This is positive. So being kind to ourselves is very important. The third point, which is what I would like to stress again and again, is that self-worth is a balance of your opinion about yourself and other people's opinion about you. Others' opinion about you and your opinion about yourself. This has to be balanced. Unless you balance this, you can never get self-worth. We do exercises of self-worth in the class by telling each student that, right, if there are 20 students in the group, you tell each of them, take one slip, you take 20 slips and write one positive and one negative about all the 20 people in the class, including yourself. So now every student gets 20 slips. One slip written by the student and 19 slips written by the rest of the members. In that, there is one positive and one negative quality of the same person. So you collect all your 20 slips, then you compare, you look at it, and you tabulate, you draw a graph, or you make a statistical analysis. You will get a wonderful balance of self-worth. I think of myself like this. My friends, my teammates, my colleagues, my family thinks of me like this. Then is it right? This kind of an exercise, when you accept what others say, positive and negative, when you also analyze positive and negative in yourself, put them all together and make an analysis, gives you the accurate self-worth. Exact, correct self-worth comes through this. And then, of course, one last point, and that is when you have self-worth, you know what you do when you have self-worth. It doesn't stay with you forever. You have to remember that you have to periodically enhance your self-worth, or you have to periodically check up your self-worth. Today you have performed well, so your self-worth is good. Tomorrow when you fail, your self-worth becomes less. It becomes, lesser and lesser, close to zero. If you have a series of failures, your self-worth becomes absolutely negative. What should you do? You should try to look at what the past and the future teach you. In the past, look at all those experiences which give you a positive self-worth. Yes, when I was a student, I did very well. Today, I'm not doing so well. So what should I do? Many students have this problem. They do excellently in school and put +2. Once they come to engineering, they start slackening. Then they say, oh my God, I was such a good student for 12 years. Now I'm such a bad student. I have come to final year engineering with so many backlog exams for me. Imagine what happened. Self-worth was there up to a time. Now self-worth is become less. So we need to work hard towards this self-worth. Unless we do this, all our self-improvement is of a waste, because the result of all the topics of self-improvement, put them together, you have a total improved personality. You have human excellence. That is the channel name which Swami Srikantanandaji has given. So when you talk about this entire, qualities of self-improvement, we've spoken about 20 qualities. Then when you put them together, what you get is a belief in yourself. You trust in yourself. You feel that, yes, I can rely on myself. I can do this. This is what self-worth is all about. Unless we believe in ourselves, unless we try to do something which comes from within, the growth which comes from within, not the growth external, we are growing, taller and fatter and so on. But this is some kind of internal growth. And that is our self-worth. When we have self-worth, we get recognition from others. We inspire others. We are able to help others. We are valuable members of society only when we have self-worth. So I hope all of us, try to measure and enhance our self-worth. Now, in the next one will be the last part for self-improvement. I will talk to you about solitude, because solitude is needed for learning any kind of self-improvement course. That once we do, we will end this with Srikantanandaji's blessings. Maharaj will have some more other topics and I will do it. So today, episode 21 and next time 22. So these 22 will be the package for our self-improvement. The more we practice, the better we become. Not only practice today in 2021, but for the rest of our lives, whichever we require, that quality, that ability, we have to keep practicing. Namaste and all the best.